Hey, what's up, guys? I made a video this evening that was an analysis of my sparring video, boxing, and I think I covered a lot of good things that I've learned over the last 2 months of doing boxing at a gym in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and I got a response from somebody who 5G Trevor, who has commented on quite a bit of my videos, and if you follow my video for a while, you know that I like to be personal. If somebody asks a question or if somebody says something both positive or negative, I like to comment. And in this case, it was positive. So what he says was, "Good stuff, bro. You gave a good showing." So I appreciate that. I just try to make a good demonstration and a good analysis through, the footage I had through my boxing gym, which I don't claim to be good by any means, trust me, but I'm learning and I want to share my progress and reflect on it for my own self, my own feedback. You should do a video on your first day in the boxing gym. I'd be interested at least. So I made a comment which was just to clarify, do you want me to comment on my first time going there, like 2 months ago, and my first impressions? So I think he does, so I'm just going to go ahead and make this video. If he has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I'll just make that video, which is like my impressions going to the gym. So it all happened because I met up with my friend who I used to work with in Niagara Falls back in 2013, 2014. We used to do photography together. And I've been back in the area for like about 2 years, and we talked to each other, but we never connected. It was like over 2 years. It was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Oh yeah, we should hang out sometime." It just never happened. But then eventually it did. I went up and met with him after work one day in Niagara Falls. We had some beers together at his bar that he works at, and he mentioned that he was doing boxing just across the street. There's a boxing gym there. I was very interested because that's something I've wanted to do for a long time, since I was like in my early 20s. And I grew up in a martial arts family. My dad, he's like, when he was in his younger years, in his 40s, 50s, was like, top level karate and things, and that's what he did. He trained and coached with that. So in my house growing up, I had all different types of like heavy bags and things. And sorry, my dog's knocking this cable off while I'm making a video. So I have some experience, but it wasn't extensive by any means. Okay. But anyway, so I met up with Derek, and he invited me to a session because I showed interest in it, and I actually seen some of his videos on Instagram and whatnot of that, on Facebook, and so he invited me for a free boxing session. Okay, so I show up, and I was welcomed by one guy who was one of the coaches at the time. He doesn't do it anymore, and his son. And we go in there, and he told his young son, who's probably only 12 to 14 years, I'd say 14 years old, to show me kind of how they warm up, which is jumping rope for 3 rounds, 3 minutes, 3-minute rounds of jump rope, just straight, which is pretty difficult to do. I still have difficulty doing that. I'm pretty good at jump rope, but by the end of the 3rd round, I'm already sweating. It's already a workout itself. And I believe that's one of the attributing factors why I've lost so much weight since I've been doing it, is like the straight up jump rope. Okay. Next is the shadow boxing, which his dad came in and showed me how to throw proper jabs. First of all, you learn the shell in proper stance. He showed me orthodox. I thought I was always southpaw because my lead hand is my right, like my strong hand. So I was like, okay, I'm going to lead with my strong hand and pop him in the face. I was like, no, you orthodox, which is your strong hand back, and like this, and you first learn the jab, which it's like comes down and then forward, and at the end snaps down. Pop, 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 pop. Then he taught me how to step into the jab, pop, step into it. And then he taught me the cross, which comes from here. It's like some people come down and then go like this, but it's telegraphing it. It's coming straight from here forward, and then you turn your hips into it, and then the back foot. I know you can't see my back foot, but there's a pivot that happens. Boom. And then by doing pad work, you can tell when you connect with that, even though you're not going like 100%, where just you hear and feel that pop, and that's the type of pop that's gonna, like, if you hit them right in the button in the jaw, that's gonna affect them pretty good. Now, I'm talking about my first day doing it, my first experience on that. So there was a very much a focus on how to stand properly. Now, the other thing is in the stance is when you throw the lead hook, I was overextending. I was like, way over like this. That's not good. You want to stay centered over yourself. It's like if you draw a cross in between your legs, say directly in between, then your feet are going to be slightly turned, but there's going to be a line in between, and there's going to be a line in between that, and then your center of balance is going to be sit on that. So you kind of sit on it, and then you crunch your abs, and then you bring your jaw down. Okay, and you bring these here. They're not off because if you hit, you hit in the face. So it's like you grab your like here where it's protecting. Okay, like this. Now the other thing is you don't want your elbows to flare, because in the pad work, for example, he might bop you. If you're exposed, he might just give you a little poke, not hard or anything, but it's enough to be like, oh, that sucks. Okay, yeah, well, you got to keep that tight so he does not do that anymore, or leave yourself exposed. So, you know, if you're throwing one, then this, you come back and you're like this, then you get hit in the solar plexus, or, you know what I mean? If you throw this and then you, or you're doing a hook or something, it's like, then you're gonna leave yourself exposed. You might get hit. So they really teach you through feedback, which is negative punishment, which is actually getting hit. Not, you don't want that to happen anymore. So you learn pretty quick not to make those mistakes, and they're very good at understanding that. Now, the coaches there's three. The guy who initially taught me is not there anymore, but there's still three more. Okay, there's one guy, Mike, who, if you watch, he's a sparring, the guy who spars with you, and he's a former professional. I think he has like 90-something fights under his belt. His brother was a top pro in Canada. I won't mention their names or anything, but he was, okay, top pro. The guy who runs the place is just a young Russian guy in his early 20s, but he's very good at boxing. He's very good at training and more of the exercise side of things, which my background is exercise science. So it's like almost like CrossFit. They do some days more like every Tuesday and Thursday is more like kind of like CrossFit, but there's still boxing incorporated in that. And then Monday and Wednesdays are actual boxing, and Fridays are boxing, and they do it on the weekends too. I never really go on the weekends because I work, but yeah. So the major thing I gotta just emphasize is it is a hardcore training. Like the amount of conditioning that you get is pouring sweat out. Like I have streams of sweat coming off me sometimes, and I'm winded like I never get usually. And I go to the gym quite often, like, but I never, and I work hard in the gym, but I don't, you don't get like this. Now I used to do CrossFit, and I think this is more difficult than CrossFit, or like more endurance style, even though CrossFit is different. CrossFit incorporates strength and different exercises and things. This is, but the great thing about this is an actual sport, so it's actually fun. You know what I mean? Weightlifting, you just go to the gym and you push some weights around. It's like, yeah, I love it. Like, I love the gym, but it's not like this. Like, this is fun. I love getting in the ring and sparring and learning new things and learning how to fight, something actually like useful, right? So there's that aspect as well. But I should mention, okay, so my initial response was I could just tell that I was just way too gassed, way too easily winded, way too easily, and I need to work on my endurance. That's why I'm being kind of focused on doing this more and more and more, and my endurance in 2 months has increased a lot. My weight has gone down 6 pounds in 2 months. Really great. Down to like 214, but when I started I was 220. So, and the other thing I should mention is that I'm on my cruise cycle right now, but I'm still making gains, and I believe that my energy levels are actually better in some ways than it was when I was actually blasting. Even though my strength and size gains were going really good when I was doing the 300 tests, 300 Masteron, 200 Nandrolone essentially a week. Now I'm down to like 150 tests, 100 Masteron, and 50 Nandrolone, and doing HGH at the same time. The gains are still being made there. It's really good. In the cutting, it's like a recomping. Like I'm making strength, agility, and things still there, but as well cutting at the same time. I think that's really good. So I'm happy I'm doing this cruise at this time as well. I just want to mention that. But as far as I've come in the last 2 months, definitely my proficiency and getting the rhythm down, getting the endurance down, getting the actual style and the actual tactics down, which I'm trying to incorporate. Sometimes in the sparring, some of the tactics I'm not thinking about because I'm thinking about not getting hit by the other guy. You know what I mean? And so my strategy isn't always the best, but at the same time, that's why I make these videos. And that's why I reflect upon them, and I've learned every time I go back, I feel like I'm a step or two better. So it's just making those small step gains. And you know what I mean? If you're somebody who, like the guy who commented, 5G Trevor, if you're somebody who wants to get into boxing, I recommend just go for it. I guarantee you get a free session in. If you go to your local boxing gym, and you can also pay a monthly membership and go twice a week, 3 times a week. I think you get a lot of it, especially if you want to learn the practical skill of fighting. There's no better martial art, I think, than boxing, other than maybe kickboxing or like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is its own thing, like wrestling. But like actual street fighting and actual practical, learn how to punch a guy in the face. There's no better thing than boxing. I think it's really fun. It's really fun. So anyway, I'll leave it there on this video. If you have any more questions, please, and thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. Have a great night. Peace.